Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Sean Mackey Show. He's so unpredictable. Mother Nature calls him for advice. All right, ladies and gentlemen, season number 2, episode 19 of the Sean Mackey Show. I got to tell you, I got a mess here. We've kind of realized some things. Season 1 was 25 episodes. We're on episode 19. We want to try to keep season 2 on 25 episodes because the only thing we really got going for ourselves right now is our consistency. Yes, we kind of maybe had taken a week off. We did not get you a separate episode for the Bears versus Packers. We're not going to give you a separate episode, and I say we, but again, the family supports me. I am not going to give you a separate episode for the Browns game. We're going to combine and do a twofer, double duty. He said double duty. All right, so that being said, we want to try to keep season 2 within 25 episodes, so we may be combining some things. We haven't really done a calendar breakdown, other than knowing that, of course, the Super Bowl is the second week, second Sunday in February, usually all the time. Right after that, pitchers and catchers report to spring training. So we want to keep season 2 within 25 episodes, so we may be doing some of that double duty. You know what I'm saying? But when I was preparing for each episode during the game, I'm taking my notes and I'm writing out kind of the bullet points of what I want to talk about. And that means probably doing a little play-by-play into my note system, because a lot of times I do speech to text. My fingers are too fat for the phone keyboard, and the computer's in another room, so I don't have it out with me all the time. But the Packers game was a heartbreaking game all the way around. It was heartbreaking to me that the Bears played like absolute caca in the first half. It was heartbreaking to me that they played so good in the second half, even tied the game up at one point and had a chance to maybe win. And it was heartbreaking to me to see that final pass to Cole Kmet. Now, I don't remember off the top of my head. I've seen the video a couple of times. You know, if Cole Kmet's kind of tailing backwards to the deeper part of the end zone to get open, that kind of changes a little bit of things. But I feel like in that instance, if Kmet sees, I mean, he's coming across the end zone, and if he sees Caleb Williams running to his left and turning to make that throw, in Caleb's mind, is that I'm going to make this a jump ball with my freaking huge ass tight end throw. And you know, I've seen a lot of people say that like Caleb just didn't make the throw. But then when I was diving deeper into the Browns game and kind of looking at some things and watching the replays closely during the game and taking my notes, we're all on Caleb Williams' accuracy. And that's fair to say, because he does miss overthrows a lot. You know, a lot of throws look like they're under. But is there a method to his madness. Um, when you look at some throws, we could say accuracy is an issue, especially when the receiver doesn't catch the ball. But there are times, and we've seen this with Caleb Williams all season, that we're like, how the fuck did he make that throw? I mean, in the Browns game, that touchdown to DJ Moore, like splitting two defenders, and DJ, we're like, oh, how did he make that throw? So is Williams in a position where he's like, I'm going to put this ball to where only my guy can get it, whether that's over or whether that's a little wide or a little short. Um, because he doesn't have a lot of interceptions, and he's kind of breaking some records with, or doing some really good things in the interception to TD ratio department. He's in some great company with some great quarterbacks, and I believe I spoke about this on last week's episode. Um, so, and it leads me to so much more on Caleb Williams. Like, what the fuck? We as Bears fans don't even know what to look for in a great quarterback or a franchise quarterback, because you look around the league and you look at guys like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Burrow. Who else is out there not named Mahomes? Where those teams, hell, even, look at the damn Dolphins losing last night to the Steelers, but for 6 years now, they've had Tua. And you look at these organizations and they might be like, okay, we spent a lot of this money. This is our guy. This is our quarterback. Sorry, Dolphin fans. I don't know if you're frustrated with Tua. I think you should be. Not a lot of good things seen there. But the other quarterbacks, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. Fuck, Baker Mayfield. I'm telling you what, there was a time as a Bears fan, and I'll confess this, about 2 years ago when Baker Mayfield was out there ready to go, and the Bears, they had Fields, and then there was this whole fiasco. Could they draft? I was like, fuck, I would take Baker Mayfield. All right? But they're great quarterbacks, and those teams and organizations would feel that they have their franchise quarterback. But what the fuck have they won? Have they won anything? So as Bears fans, if we got a guy that's been there for 10 years and we don't win anything, do we call him a bust? Or do we say the organization's a bust because they didn't put enough people in place or around him to get it done? Right? I mean, so I'm looking at Caleb Williams in that Browns game, and I feel the Browns game, and I know I totally skipped over the Packers. Again, it was totally heartbreaking. The Bears, Ben Johnson even says at one point, as far as the Packers game goes, he's like, we got to start faster. Well, no shit. You can't give up the whole first half and only manage to gain 71 yards in the entire first half. And you have 5 possessions. You only managed to walk away with 3 points. And defense and offense and special teams, Johnson's like, we made it a game in the second half, but we have to start faster. And yes, you can't. And the Packers game to me was one of those where it's like, it's almost like the entire Bears team walked into Lambeau for warm-ups and saw the atmosphere and knew where they were, who they had played. And there were doubters. And I think it's almost like that entire team came out and was like, we don't belong here. What the fuck are we doing here? In Lambeau Field in Green Bay, bro, we're so young. We don't know what the fuck, And that's the only thing I can look at it and say as far as that slow start for them during the Packers game. was something like that. But then they got into the game and they started playing and they were like, shit's not quite working, but these guys aren't so much different from the people we've been playing. So they make things tighter in the second half, and they're like, "Fuck yeah, we belong with these guys. We're gonna go out, run, kick their ass," you know. And so in the second half, they kind of dominate with and kind of flip the script, and then, ugh, they had that chance and didn't come away with it. So I would have to say for the Packers game, I'm going to say no champs, and chumps was just coaching, offense, defense, just all of them, right? Because it wasn't the outcome we wanted as Bears fans, and we've got a chance against the Packers Saturday night, but we could have done something or said something magical if we'd have gone out and pulled that one, or the Bears would have gone out. And I say we, I'm not part of the organization. But if the Bears would have pulled that one out, that would have been freaking awesome. But again, I get to the Browns game and I'm looking at Caleb, and there's a lot more accuracy there. He's hitting guys over the middle, right? He's coming out strong this time. He doesn't miss half of his passes for the entire game. But the Bears are running the ball. They're just running the ball. It almost seemed like they were like, yeah, fucking Caleb, your accuracy sucks, so we're just going to stop throwing the damn ball. But Caleb was there, man. He was spot on. He didn't get away from Garrett like he wanted to. Garrett picked up like 1.5 sacks for that game. And this guy's going to totally break the record if he doesn't. Something's wrong with the NFL. Bears are running the ball heavily against the Browns. Williams at one point early, he only has like 4 attempts. CJ Gardner Johnson's not having a great game against the Browns. He had a chance for a freaking sack, and he doesn't have the proper footwork. He doesn't break down, completely overruns Shedeur Sanders, and Sanders goes around the edge for a pretty big gain. Yeah, Monagai's running the ball. He's throwing the ball to the tight ends, and he's looking pretty freaking good. And there's some replays. I'm looking at the passes, and I'm like, that's a good pass. Yes, the receiver, was falling down and had to reach out to make the catch. But if he doesn't, there's nobody there. It's not going to get picked off. So I think Caleb may be putting these balls in a position where he's like, I'm an athlete, you're an athlete, we're on the same fucking team. You should know by now that I'm going to put you in the best position to succeed. So if you can't make the play, neither will anybody else. Okay? And that's what I kind of see against the Browns with this, finally, some progression with Caleb Williams. And I liked what I saw. All the way around. It was a dominant game. Everyone's like, oh, this is a trap game. This is one of those games, and if I would have done the Packers episode last week, part of my thought process was absolutely, if you lose against the Browns, I don't think you win another game this season. And everything's all for naught. But now you're sitting at 10-4. You're back to the number 2 seed in the NFC. You've got the Packers coming up Saturday night. You've got a lot on the line. You've got a lot to prove. You're still dealing with some injuries. Dennis Allen's defense, personally, when I was coaching at the high school level, I was a defensive coordinator. And against a quarterback like Shedeur Sanders, with all the controversy, with everything that's been said, and I know the announcers were talking about it. They said one of Dennis Allen's plans was to kind of disguise looks to try to confuse Shedeur Sanders, show blitz, back off, show zone, play man, whatever. Different looks from the defensive backfield, what you're going to do up front. But and that's great. That's a great strategy. But I think at the same time, with this Bears linebacking core, even when some guys are out, I would have brought the pressure a hell of a lot more. I would have said, you know what? I'm gonna make Shador Sanders beat me. And for a little bit, I mean, I know those were some floaters he was throwing up there, but he was connecting with dudes on some big deep passes. I'm I know Jalen Johnson. In fact, one of the posts I made on Facebook was like Jalen Johnson giveth and he taketh away, right? Because just before he had that weird looking, oh, look what's in my belly interception in the end zone, he had given up a big long pass. And I think CJ Gardner Johnson had given up one too. So it looked like Shador. And I'm like, so I would have disguised all my looks if I could and brought the fucking pressure and made Shador Sanders. I would have put it all on his shoulders and I would have made him beat me with his fucking arm. And for as much as they said he stays in the pocket, he's not afraid of pressure. He takes the licks, he gets the ball out there. Well, you know what? Rookie quarterback, not such a good offensive team. I would have brought the pressure. I'd have brought the house more times than not. I would have lived and died by my pressure. So that's all I want to say on Dennis Allen defensively. But DJ Moore got into some more action this week with a couple of touchdowns. Again, um, DeMarco Jackson, this dude, he had a pick, he had a nice sack, right? Um, Again, turnover, don't capitalize. You only get 3 points or an attempt at 3 points, and Santos misses a field goal. But for the first half, Williams is 12 of 18 for 190 yards, a TD. Swift running the ball, 9 carries for 42 yards. Monangai, 8 carries for 29 yards. At this point in the game, at the end of the first half, Luther Burden III's got 5 catches for 78 yards. He's done some good things because I think in the Packers game, every reception he had was for a first down. Maybe that was the Eagles game. I can't keep them all straight. Everything's like right there in my head, right? Holidays coming around. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. Right? Oh shit. Oh my God. But I thought Williams was showing better accuracy. Some of the drops, it's like, okay, it's cold weather. I know there was one in there. I think it was Komet where the ball hit him in the hands and it looked like he was trying to tuck it in. So when the elbow hit, everything shifted. I think at that point you're going to the ground. You know how cold it is. You got to try to squeeze that ball so when everything hits, it's still in your hands and it's tight. He doesn't get that. But there was a point in that Browns game where the Bears tried to get cute, right? And they're playing against the third best defense in the NFL, right? And they go for it on fourth down. There's no success. And I thought, man, you just gave the ball to Cleveland at midfield. I think at this point it's 14-0. No, it's 14-3. Because I remember saying to my wife, I said, if Cleveland scores, it'll be 14-10. And now it's a different ball game. So it's a momentum flip. So I'm getting ready to post on Facebook like, was there a momentum flip, right? And there kind of was at that point because no, at that point that's right. They gave the ball over to midfield on that fourth down play, and the Browns they do score it. They get that field goal. And they make it 14-3. So, um, but then the Bears kind of flip it you know, after the Browns score the three, the very next Bears possession they go three and out, and the Browns got the ball again, and they're driving and they're close to the fucking end zone, and Jalen Johnson gives up a big reception, and it puts them, it's like I think they're within the 30, and then that pass, and that was a good pass by Shador. Can't take it from this guy. And he's going to Judy, and he passes right there. And Jalen Johnson, he on the replay, he didn't even look back for the ball. He just kind of looks up and he gets his hands up in the face. And then all of a sudden, the ball hits off the receiver's hands and it kind of rolls down his belly. And Jalen Johnson's momentum in his hands take him down to where he's like, oh, what the hell is this? And then he grabs the ball. And at that point, he's got the foresight to be like, oop, boop, boop. Let me do some nice little Fred Astaire style footwork here and stay inbounds in the end zone. Touchback, Bears take over the ball. They go on to score. Bears have a great game. They do win the game, right? I know after a turnover later in the game, C.J. Gardner-Johnson pick, they couldn't, and that's where the offense was inconsistent. So in this game against the Browns, I saw some better things from Caleb Williams. They were still running the ball, pounding the ball with Swift and Monangai, right? Offensive line looked better against the Browns than they did against the Packers, because I know at one point in that Packers game, Chapilo on that 3rd and 1 to Monangai, Chapilo had his guy blocked, and he either thought it was far enough or it was long enough, and he kind of looked like he gave up a little bit, and dude just kind of shot in from the side and stuffed Monangai, into which led to the whole Komet last second interception that Williams threw. But even on that play, like I said, I think Caleb Williams was thinking, I'm going to put this up there for my 6'4" tight end and let him go up and get it. And I don't think Komet made the adjustment. And I've only seen the video a couple of times, but you get every angle and you see Komet coming in late. And I can't remember if he's going backwards and couldn't make the adjustment, or, did he see Williams running to his left, throwing, back, not across the middle, but still having to turn his body so he can get the right-handed throw up there. But still, the Bears are very inconsistent offensively in the Browns game. That game could have probably been 50 something to but they just didn't have what it, on and off, on and off, on and off. And Trapillo, I think I want to say he was probably graded out. Man. Yeah, he was graded out against the Browns and had one of his worst graded out games at 49.9. But he was going against Myles Garrett. Did give up 1.5 sacks, but he looked overwhelmed. And this was a game for Trapillo, who he could have came out and said, I'm a rookie. I don't care if this is Myles Garrett. I'm going to buckle down. I'm going to beat this guy. Kind of like we saw Darnell Wright do against some of the bigger name defensive ends and edge rushers that he's gone against. And Trapillo didn't get that done. So the Bears against the Browns, the best offensive grades. I mean, obviously, Colston Loveland had a great game. He had a bunch of catches, some big catches, right? Caleb Williams, finally, woohoo! He gets graded out at 85.1 against the Browns. DeAndre Swift, DJ Moore, a couple of touchdowns back in the fold. I like to see that. I like this kid. I like to keep him around for a couple of more years, especially if you got shit right there, flames in the fire. You know what I mean? And Jonah Jackson was just fucking pounding people. There's a trap block. Boom! He lays out the 3 technique. Yo, welcome to my house, bitch. Let's see. Defensively, of course, DeMarco Jackson, nice sack, a pick. The dude needs to keep playing. Graded out at 93.5. Joe Tryon Shoyinka, the guy we picked up at the deadline, graded out at 90.4. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, for everything I saw him do wrong against the Browns, he still gets graded out highly at 80.3. Defensive tackle Chris Williams, and linebacker TJ back in the mix. All right. So I just wanted to do a little double duty. I wanted to get my thoughts out there. I'll let you in on a little secret. I'm kind of struggling with the show. You know, I'm putting out my episodes. I'm kind of keeping it there. I might take a little bit of a break. It might be a little bit longer between episodes now, but I'm still feeling my way. I feel like the show's gotten better. I got more things to say. I'm going to introduce more, but on Spotify, it says I got 21 followers. And I feel like every time I upload an episode, if you're really listening, I should get 21 downloads or listens, right? But we're not getting it. The only time we're getting downloads here is when them crazy ass podcast bots go out there and latch onto a show and then download every episode. Can't remember my Apple login, so I can't get info from Apple Podcasts for creators, but I'm going to keep going because you know what? Screw it. I like being behind the mic. I like sharing my opinions and doing my thing. It's on me if I'm struggling with getting the episodes out in a timely fashion, but I think I've been pretty damn good with that. So there's a link on Spotify. It says, drop us an email, tell us what you think. We'll give you a shout out. We're still looking for people who say, bro, I know you, Sean. Let's talk some sports. Let me get on your show. I'll put you on the show. I'm doing it and not getting a lot of presents. So if you're worried about becoming famous and how the pressure of being famous, how you would handle that, don't worry about it. Just come on, get on a video with me. I can share you a link and bam, let's talk sports. My guys, you know what I'm saying? The dudes, let's reconnect. Right? Fix some of my memories if they're broken, but let's talk sports, especially Cubs, Bears. We'll break it all down. Thanks for listening to the Sean Mackey Show. That's all I got for you today. Gonna keep it brief. Recap 2, did double duty. Oh, he said duty. And we're gonna start introducing some new things to you. So stick around now because next season's going to get a little bit better. And we're always going to do a Bears and a Cubs breakdown. One Cubs season, one Bears season. Hopefully all within the same year. Little carryover because of the Super Bowl. Man, the NFL fucks shit up, don't they? I'm out. Peace. Hey, if I made you laugh, made you think, or even made you smile, please tell all your friends. If I didn't, just keep that shit to yourself. Thanks for listening to the Sean Mackey Show.